Hey guys, this is your Fapcast episode 20 for June 15th. So,
Father's Day.
Yes, happy Father's Day.
Yeah. For all those kids out there that
to Chris.
Say,
Pretty much
Is there something I need to know, Ryan?
yeah.
I'm carrying your
No.
Jesus.
Man.
Two guys naked in a hot tub. What happens?
I'll tell you what happens. Bad movies like Mr. Mom.
Oh, Is that
No.
No?
No, what was
No,
the
no.
what was the one with Danny DeVito?
Twins.
Mr. Mom?
He's a boy.
I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, so yeah, episode 20. So 20 episodes is quite a while there.
Yeah, we're almost to a quarter of a century there. Yeah, 25.
This is a score.
Yeah,
It's a score.
It's a
Yeah.
score.
Is 20 is a score?
What is a score?
Is it
All right,
really?
so this is the score episode.
Okay.
So we're all going to score. Apparently I already have with Ryan. That was a mistake.
Indeed.
Wow. You should have wore protection, Chris. Should have wore protection. Double wrap that garbage bag. Potentially.
And we started like way up here.
I know,
like
it
level
started off-
20, and then just.
I'm sorry.
It started off so good, and then just straight in the gutter.
Well, that's because I've been absent, so you guys needed a little bit of a
Right.
bringing it down. I'm also shedding all over the podcast studio here.
Apparently peeling
Yes.
there from too
I'm
much
molting.
sun.
I'm ticked off.
All right, so I guess our first topic.
Yeah, that's true. Dude.
No, nobody cares who
Nobody
my
cares who-
co-hosts
No,
are.
no,
Okay,
no.
all right. So we've got Chris Keene here.
Hello, everyone.
We've got Josh Bushing
What up, guys?
and Nate Bushing
Hodor.
and the worst host ever, Ryan McDowell.
Wait. No.
Who's what?
I definitely have that title.
No.
Don't take that away from
I don't know. This was a pretty bad intro.
Yeah.
So
No, it started good, and then it was just like.
it's like I just took the belt from you from W.
Oh.
You know, it's like WWF.
Holding that up
I
above
took
your
the
head.
belt and I'm like worst host ever. And you can get that
Oh,
next time.
okay.
We will pay-per-view that cage match
That-
between Ryan and Nate.
Me,
It's a ladder
yeah.
match.
Oh, a ladder match.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be
Hopefully it's a steel
jumping
cage.
off. Yeah, I was going to say steel cage. We'll be jumping off the cage and hitting each other with chairs and
Indeed.
having all sorts of monologues.
Yes.
That's what we do in
Monologues.
WWE. Monologue.
So talking about ridiculously long intros, when games do their demos, should they be demos or should they be games? You like that segue? You know you do.
30-minute video sequence, go.
You rode that segue
Yeah.
straight into my convention. I
Yeah,
love it.
for real. So Metal Gear Solid is working on Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain, right? And instead of just doing like a tech demo,
Mhm.
they came out with Ground Zeroes, which sort of gives you, I don't know, I got maybe 6 to 8 playable hours out of it. I
Yeah.
mean, you could probably get more if you're total completionist.
Yep.
Um,
You put 2 hours in at least for the first round, didn't you?
2 hours for the first mission.
Yeah,
Really.
me too.
And that's kind of if you're booking,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
I
I
mean,
was
if you know where everything is and you fly through it, I think you can do that first mission in about 45 minutes.
I may have not played it right the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
'Cause it was like kill everybody and then get out. Anyway,
Yeah.
the point is, so they made this. It's one environment essentially, one open world that's just an island. It's basically the prelude to Guantanamo, I believe. It's a prison base in Cuba.
Yep.
During the 70s, and anyway, it's sort of there were like 6 to 8 missions for this game, and they all take place on the same island and the same location. The guard patterns are different. The weapons you get can be different, like the ones that you start out with can be different, but
Yeah.
all the same weapons are available in every mission.
Yep.
But they all take place at different time of day and different weather. So there's like fog in one of them, there's rain in one of them, it's night, it's day, it's morning. So it kind of gives you a good sense of whether the demo or the engine, you know, how pretty is it going to look? You know,
Yeah.
was this just prefabbed for? But it looks amazing. I can say from owning it. But anyway, should more games go that way, doing a demo that's a purchasable game that leaves you feeling it's more like a prologue game than, I mean, it's not full price.
Yeah. I would say that games aren't, it's not necessarily that games need to go that way. It's just that companies are looking that way because demos in the past have been, they're kind of a sunk cost, right? You know, they have to create this vertical slice of their game to display to everybody that takes time away from finishing the product all the way through. And they have to make sure that that demo that you see is, you know, high quality, that everything ends. They don't, you know, give away too much or whatever, as if like in a trailer. So in this case, it's kind of paying for that, I guess, in a way. You're almost paying for that demo. And I think any way a company can look to monetize something, they're going to be
stemming.
Yep.
Stemming away from stemming from like early '90s or maybe late '90s when PC gaming started to kind of really get up there, and like most of the demos at the time were like shareware versions. You could download for free, or you could get, you know, maybe like a couple of bucks or something at some sort of trade show. You had it on a disc. And then you would load it up, and it would be maybe like the first section of like 5 different subsections of a game.
Yeah.
Like Doom, you get like the
The
first
whole
like 10
first
levels.
episode.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the first episode.
Mm-hmm. Which is quite a bit
Quake
of
was the
gameplay.
same. Yeah, Quake was
But
the same way.
that was when the game was totally finished.
Yep.
Versus this, Phantom Pain is still in development.
Yeah.
See, now, I don't know if that's just because it takes so much longer to make a good game these days.
Yeah.
So the other interesting thing is that up until now, Hideo Kojima has been pretty exclusively Sony.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, they released the HD collection on Xbox, but that was like way later.
Yeah.
And the other Sony title that did this was Gran Turismo, right? When it was a huge gap from Gran Turismo 4 to Gran Turismo 5. Gran Turismo 5 was going to be the first Gran Turismo for PlayStation 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they tried to get it where they wanted it. They weren't happy with Gran Turismo 5. So they came out with Gran Turismo 5 Prologue that was like 2 years before Gran Turismo 5.
Yeah.
It came out very close to the launch of PlayStation 3.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like 2 years later, Gran Turismo 5 came out.
Yeah, you're right.
But it was like totally different engine. So I don't know that is totally.
Was it 2 years? I
applicable.
thought it was like 3 years because PlayStation 3 came out in.
It was a significant
2006.
chunk of time.
It was like
versus
4 years later or something like that.
versus this
That's
one.
crazy.
It's going to be a year. Ground Zeroes came out now, and Phantom Pain is supposed to come out this fall or
Was it
early 2015. Anyway, roughly a year, maybe a year and a little bit of change.
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoyed the game, and I kind of like getting experiences that aren't full, you know, like $60 games. You know what I mean? This wasn't a $60 game. I would have been upset had I paid $60 for it.
Yeah.
At half price, I think I'm unique in that I still feel like it was a good purchase because I'm really into stealth games and sneaking around and whatnot. So I feel like that got me amped for Metal Gear Solid 5. And I still feel like, you know, the $30 I spent on it, not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
But
you need the $60 you spent on it.
60?
Yeah.
Oh, right, because I bought yours.
He was like,
I was like,
and
buy it.
he's like, go on, Nate, come on. Yeah. No. So I haven't put as much time in it as you have, but I feel like there's enough content there that if you want to get your $30 worth, you can get it out of it.
Let me phrase the topic a little bit different. What if, let's say, Elder Scrolls 6 was coming out, right, and you knew it was going to be 2 years?
Ooh.
Would you want a demo, a playable, not a demo, would you want a purchasable game that starts to use that engine and maybe takes place on an, you know, like an island or in a valley or something that you couldn't get out of, you know?
I don't know. I guess considering,
because Ground Zeroes, you're not going to repeat that in Phantom Pain.
Oh, you're not?
You're not. It's not part of it.
Really?
interesting.
So
I thought
totally
you would.
separate. No,
I thought you would.
no, totally separate.
If it's prologue, and then okay, the completionist people will probably pick into it. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be. I don't know. I don't think I need it in those kinds of things. I would much rather pay for like a fully developed game. I guess my other thing too is I don't mind waiting for something. Like Blizzard is really good about putting the polish on the game, and if it's not ready, they won't release it. And some of these other newer companies, I think they have pressures from their publishers to have to fork out to get the game out there.
Let's say EA games.
Well, Battlefield 4 was plain as day. Should have spent another year
in the cooker.
and
Probably.
really just
Forza 5,
Yeah, same
to be
deal.
honest.
like,
lacking
I
a
think
lot
a lot of those were just pushed because of release.
Yep.
With the console, and they really wanted to
Mhm.
nail it with the console, and I think that was a poor decision in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's just people will throw money at it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they got burned. But I don't know if anybody really learns their lesson, like waiting until reviews are out beforehand, because a lot of people will have reviews out early beforehand because they'll get.
Do you
early
feel
copies.
gypped by Battlefield 4 though?
Not really.
I mean, because we kind of made the most of that.
I mean, I don't play it as often since it's Titanfall, and I haven't played Titanfall in a while either. But I don't know. It's still fun. I mean, I bought
DLC for it.
Premium.
the premium for it. So I mean, once that kind of stuff comes out again, I can probably get back into it, play some more maps.
All
That
right,
always
so,
adds more
so
things
Josh
to it.
says no.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
You keep your.
I'm
your
gonna go with.
playable
I don't
game.
think it's needed. Your completionist people. Now, I guess if it's a fandom thing, like if I'm really into that genre, I think I've played 2. I played through. I don't think I played 3. I watched a couple of things there with 3, but for Metal Gear Solid, I don't. It's not my.
It's not your thing.
If there's
Right.
anything, I think it's that companies have learned that the niche or targeting people that are really into your game that are willing to spend that for a demo will do it.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, let's do it. We'll just get as much as we can out of it, even if it's just.
And
What if that was an Aliens game?
Then I'd probably do it.
Yeah, see?
See, and then
So
Depends
it
on
was
the
a-
property.
okay.
so that's
Depends
pretty
on
much
the
okay. So it
property.
really depends on the IP.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
in my opinion.
Mhm.
Like Chris Kohler, if there was anything mini game for Nintendo, whatever, clearly he would have bought
Nice.
it. What do you think, Chris? You haven't. This is kind of your
Yeah.
brainchild on this.
Yeah.
And you haven't.
I mean, if you think back, and I guess some of the demos are still this way. Like you said, the demo you get is usually the first level, kinda.
Or a
And
slice
then,
of it, yeah.
Like you'll get, maybe 5 levels in, so you can see what a fully decked out you plays like.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is, like my complaint is that you are pretty much playing the game. So when you go by the full version, you've already played the first level because you played it in the demo.
And then you have to
And then you've
repeat
already
it.
played the 5th level because you played it in the demo.
Yeah.
So you have to repeat it. I think it's kind of cool what they did with Metal Gear Solid in that it takes the engine and the game mechanics and puts them in an entirely different game that you will not replay
Yeah,
when the actual game
that
comes
is really
out.
cool.
That is cool.
I don't know if it's gonna have any impact on the Phantom Pain. I don't know if it's set up that way.
There's no decision tree. There's one way through everything.
Okay, because I know there was it's something Dead Rising 2 did. I think there was a Dead Rising 2 Case Zero
Yes,
that came out. I believe
remember
it's
this.
kind of a demo prior to Dead Rising 2. I think it was prior to Dead Rising 2, where your stuff would carry over into the regular game,
Right.
but still kind of gave you an idea. Here's how the game plays, here's the mechanics, here's the graphics engine, but none of this stuff is going to be in the final game.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that is a much cooler way to demo the game because it doesn't spoil anything for the game itself.
That's true.
You could say, okay, well, we finished this game, we worked real hard on it, so we're gonna slice out 2 little bits of it and throw that out as the demo. But to me, it almost seems like you are taking more of an interest, or maybe if you're going to take a long time to put out that game, then it's in your best interest to say, look, we've kind of got a little submission here that we can kind of pull out and say, we're going to release this as a demo, but it's really a playable version of the game, and kind of tease everybody with, here's what's coming.
Do you think that this is like maybe for Aliens Colonial Marines? With the posh they put. I think it was on the trailer, but it was a section of the game.
Yeah.
This is like one of those things where maybe this
It's
is
a vertical slice. Right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
like it's something maybe that they could have that they're doing because they don't want to prevent they want to prevent those kinds of disasters from happening later on.
Yeah.
Like actually seeing the game engine in real time and being able to test those kinds of environments.
Yeah.
And seeing the color schemes, different stuff here and there.
Yeah.
Like it just.
Because if you think about it, a game demo gives you the opportunity to play the game, which a trailer doesn't. So I mean, a trailer shows you how the game plays, but doesn't really give you the opportunity to see if.
And you don't know how much is pre-rendered.
Yeah, it can all be.
It's
It
hard
could
to
be
say
a
what's
cutscene.
pre-rendered.
That's
And
what
then-
I'm kind of worried about with certain games sometimes.
Yeah, and then when you get to reviews, there have been a lot of reviews in the past that have been of questionable nature because there's been some question of, well, this game was obviously kind of terrible but got great reviews. You know, were these reviews paid for, or are some reviews paid for? And
Right, how open are they to actually speaking their mind if a game isn't very good, but they're paying your bills?
right, like how much can you trust a review from a company that is getting kind of a kickback as far as either free games or some kind of compensation for reviewing this game in a positive light. So the nice thing about this is it kind of pushes all that stuff to the side, lets you play a game featuring all the same things, but without spoiling, what's to come. So you still there's still kind of that build up to here's what the real game's going to be,
Right.
and depending on how you play it, you can end on that. Like if however Ground Zeroes ends, if it's like kind of cliffhangery, then you're really interested in Phantom Pain because you want to pick up and see.
Which it is.
Yeah.
You want to see, here's what was leading up to, the real game. I want to know what's going to happen.
It's like in this specific instance, Metal Gear Solid has a ridiculously, I'm going to call it convoluted, and I don't think anybody would argue with that. It has a ridiculously convoluted storyline,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets interesting. Like, if you're following it all, the whole storyline, it gets pretty interesting, and you kind of want to see where did, they play along the same lines that a lot of others do, like where, heroes become villains and whatnot, and there's like that tipping point of where you want to figure out where did they go wrong, like where did Darth Vader, when did he go from Anakin to Darth Vader?
Yeah.
You want to find out what that point was. In this one, you like when you play the first Metal Gears, you're Solid Snake, and the big spoiler alert from 1987. So I think I'm safe here. The big spoiler alert from 1987 was that the big boss that you were fighting is your dad. So
Kind of Darth Vader-y.
yeah, it is very Darth Vader-y.
Huh.
But you also find out that he used to be like
Like
your
you.
position,
Yeah.
right? Like in Foxhound, he was like the star operative and whatnot. And so
Oh, geez.
there's when you play Metal Gear Solid 3, you actually play as
him.
Big Boss back when he was a good guy, right?
Mhm.
And so that Peace Walker was or Snake Eater, sorry.
Snake Eater
Snake
and Peace
Eater
Walker.
and
You're
Peace
right.
Walker
Yep.
were both really interesting because it showed the progression of why he went down the path he did and why his mentality wasn't so evil and whatnot. And
More
this
gray area.
Yeah.
in Ground Zeroes and Phantom Pain, you're playing again as Big Boss, and to me that's really interesting because now if you played. Actually, you're still a good guy at the beginning of
Yeah.
Ground Zeroes,
Yeah.
but you can kind of see how it's sliding. You can kind of see where it's going and the distrust of the government and the, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
But to me, it was interesting because there's story there that's not told anywhere else. So, I don't know. I think it depends on the IP. I think you're right, Josh.
Yeah.
But I think for those that do it, if you can get away with doing it, do it. If there was a Mass Effect one, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, I think there's a lot of IP there that will probably pull enough with fandom to people. Like, if they make it worth their while, it would be worth it.
And I think target console also, like target system also kind of matters.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if it was a prequel or just alongside, because Mass Effect had the Infiltration, I think was a phone game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think it was quite a demo. It might have been just a ride-along, but still, for a console game or a PC game making a handheld phone game, can kind of be iffy. I mean, it worked out real well with Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, because you
Yeah.
could play some of the mini games you play in Black Flag in the handheld, in the phone game app.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, but Infiltration was a completely separate.
That was sort of like
storyline.
the Assassin's Creed, the previous like Bloodlines and
Yeah, it was
The
like
other-
the handheld Assassin's Creed games.
up until I think Liberation was the only one that was really taken slightly serious.
Yeah.
right? That was one for the PSP or Vita.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Vita. It was
Anyway.
Vita. Yep.
All right, so I think we've thoroughly covered that one,
Sure.
and the answer is if the market's right and you have a market for that, you can do that. All right, so the next thing is a topic that I thought of. So we've got X-Men: Days of Future Past that just came out, and they kind of took a little bit of a Star Trek
I liked it.
thing
But
with it, where
I'll let you.
they totally they paved a path for rewriting canon, right?
Retcon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess in general, how do we feel about that? Is it okay? Is it so wrong to rewrite canon? Can you?
When a movie like X-Men 3 comes out,
We can't cut that.
I know. That's the point.
When a
You
movie
brought up
like-
the shit movie.
when a movie
My body
like,
reacts.
When a movie like X-Men 3 shits all over the microphone, something like Days of Future Past takes its chance at rewriting what happened in X-Men 3. That's why Jean Grey's
Who directed X-Men 3? Do we remember that?
spoilers.
I have no idea.
Because I don't think it's.
It was not Bryan Singer.
It was not because he
Ang Lee.
No,
it wasn't.
he was doing Superman Returns.
Yeah, he was.
And he stole the actor,
He stole.
which is
James,
why
James Marsden.
yes,
James
which is why they
Marsden.
killed him off at the beginning.
Almost said Scott Summers. He stole Scott Summers.
Scott.
Brett Ratner was that the director of
Is that who
X-Men?
it was? I don't remember either.
So anyway, I mean, the Star Trek Into Darkness as well, right? Or actually, just Star Trek,
Yeah, it was
The-
rebooted by the J.J. Abrams.
right?
Okay,
So
so
it paved a path for them to just kind of do whatever they want with that entire universe.
yeah.
They kind of did the same thing with X-Men without getting too spoilery.
It's good though. I like the cast. The way they set it up was really good. I guess can we not spoilers? How long has it been? What's the Staunton thing on there?
It's still in theaters.
Yeah,
I don't know
so
that
I
we
think
can
that
really.
you can really spoil it.
But okay, they have a plot device that allows it to from here go almost wherever they want.
Yeah.
It's true.
Doesn't have to follow the comics.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, in general, though, I think the difference is is it out of canon for, say, Star Wars to have, books that just completely contradict what happened in the known universe?
Well, that's
I
what's
think.
going to happen now, I think.
Well, I think when
That's
you have
kind of
that,
what I'm worried about.
when you have that, that worries me.
Mm-hmm.
If it's you have that so you can do some little things that they know are coming that are going to contradict,
Mm-hmm.
but okay, we're going to get to this new, totally new writing or whatever.
I guess what I'm hoping that he does with Star Wars, is that he takes what they have and gives us enough fan service, although I don't really need it at this point. I mean, it's been so long, so I don't really need it.
That is who directed it, Brett Ratner.
I mean,
Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So, if they take it, then they, okay, so here's some fan service. Here's the Millennium Falcon. Here's all this, happy Luke.
They're kind of doing some of
Han
that with
Solo
having
stuff.
some of the old
Right.
characters in it.
And then new cast of characters, introductions, and then boom, that's what we're going to be following. Like new levels of heroes and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know that that's so much
That's not
canon
really-
rewriting.
That's not. Yeah. Well, I mean, in this
No,
case,
that's
it
what I'm
might
hoping
be-
that they don't do is canon rewrite.
In this case, there might be enough expanded universe stuff that they have already said they're pretty much going to ignore that it will be kind of canon rewrite because
Yeah,
that
that's
stuff
the point.
already existed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, to me, it really is kind of a kick in the nuts when you rewrite canon. Like, even as terrible as X3 was, it was there. So, I won't say it's not nice to have done what was done, but it is kind of a not super cool thing to do, to just go in and be like, look, I'm going to go ahead and do this a totally different way. I mean, I guess maybe there is a original director exception where, because Bryan Singer
Mhm.
may have had a path in mind, and because they wanted to make X3 before he was where he wanted to be, that he's like, screw that crap.
Yeah.
There might be an exception there, but to come in and completely redo something, it's still kind of not cool.
It's not cool, bro.
It's just kind of like all the emotions that you would have felt throughout that whole area.
Yeah.
And then they just remove that from the actual storyline, so it doesn't make any sense or that doesn't exist.
At least
so it's hard to.
At least it's not nonsensical stuff, right? It's
That's
not,
true.
It's not like, Han shot second, just stupid.
Right.
Like that,
Well,
where-
but they like Into Darkness. It's out of theaters. It's in Netflix. I can say that the Khan reboot thing.
Right.
Yes.
And then instead of Spock dying, it's Kirk that dies. They switched places and that whole little fan service.
Let's put our hands
I don't
on
know.
the
It's
thing.
like
Yeah,
I could have lived without it.
You made a hand motion in an audio podcast.
I
Yeah,
did make a
yeah.
hand motion in an audio
It
podcast.
might have been. It might have been.
You'll
a
guess
jerk
what I'm
off.
doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, as much as I hated the reboot, it was kind of an interesting take on, I guess, at least for the second one, to allow J.J. Abrams to say, here's what would have happened if the second one had existed in this universe. But
yeah.
honestly, if the third one comes out and they're like, oh, we got to do, redo Search for Spock, no. I mean, it wasn't set up that way, but to try and, no. But yeah, the whole retconning out the friggin' original Star Trek going on, I mean, you pretty much closed the door on everything.
Mm-hmm.
There can be no more Next Generation movies.
Should there be? Wait. Should there be?
Yes. Next Generation's
No, they stopped. They stopped because it just started going downhill, right? They can't get that cast back. They need to be able to move on with who's going to be the next captains of the
Then set it up on TV.
B, C,
I'm
D.
happy
Well,
with
maybe,
it. It's
true.
maybe,
Yeah, that's
maybe
right.
they will do that. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, same with X-Men here. With any story in general, how many times can you tell the same story and have it be they just rebooted and did the same thing? I like the 80s version or the 70s version better.
Well, I guess this kind of goes back to my general hatred of reboot in general. Hatred in general.
General hatred.
But can't these be better
He's a
than a
jerk.
straight?
General hatred.
You had a term for this, right? There's
Reimaginings?
yes.
Yeah, I suppose if you can work it into a reimagining, it's still kind of a dirty way to go about it, but
Imagination.
It's messy
yeah.
because so many people have
Everything
so many.
you grew up with is gone.
It's
Right.
that's what I mean. They actually have those connections, and you're like, these are things that you felt when you were in childhood, and you have those kinds of permanent attachments. And all of a sudden, some guy comes along and says, "Nope, I like it this way." You're like, who give the balls on that guy that does those little eraser, changes this and does this, and okay, that's fine, but I liked it better the other way. So I don't know.
I mean,
Welcome
to play-
creative writing.
I guess to play devil's advocate,
Yeah.
could they? I mean, it was kind of at a dead end wall,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
how could they have possibly done another Star Trek movie without doing?
They would have had to go to the future after Voyager and just completely.
And there's
gone.
no shows to support it.
Yeah.
Like what they did in the past was show for a while, then movie,
Yeah.
and then show, and then movie.
Then they
right?
tried to do a prequel. Prequel. Okay, can I just throw this out there that prequels are the worst ideas ever.
No, you know what it is? It's low hanging fruit.
No, it is low hanging fruit.
It is absolutely low
and
hanging
it
fruit.
never results in anything good. It never results in anything good because you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it
There's
spoils
no
it.
surprise.
Right,
You
it
take the
kills the
surprise
spoilers
completely
out.
out of it. Like even say Prometheus, prequels in Star Wars,
Hobbit.
The Star Wars
Hobbit,
prequels are awesome.
not as good as Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
To
See?
be honest,
Yeah.
I used to think that you could the 4, 5, and 6 were great, and then the prequels came out, and it was like, oh, you can watch them in order. But I think, to be honest with you, you watch them in release theatrical order, right?
Yeah.
Because if you watch 1, 2, 3, then you already have 5 spoiled, and that whole heartbreak part where Han is that Luke is finally finding out that Vader's his father.
It
It's
wouldn't make
moot.
any sense.
It's moot. It doesn't. There's no emotional pang. There's no what?
Wait.
Obi-Wan lied?
Vader's Luke Skywalker's father?
Oh,
I knew you were gonna-
God damn it, Chris! Watch the goddamn movies.
But yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. So I do like this, 1, 2, and 3 for what they are.
Yeah,
But
because they add to a universe you like.
correct. And it's just like we were talking earlier with the games. You've got a prologue of a game or something that you like, and expanding that universe is fun. And this is going to be the new system you're having with that, so on and so forth. Whatever. Anyhow, I like being able to get immersed in those. I forgot what I was going to say.
Universes.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yes. So, like, I enjoy more content. If it's an IP like I like, I'm going to want to search those out and find more. And, no different than like Transformers or Star Wars or whatever that I'm into at the time. I'm going to look for more of those opportunities to get exposed to more and more story. So, for the fandom, that's the key of getting people involved in. I don't think that it's a bad thing, but sometimes people get really canon heavy. And then when you go and
almost weighs it down too much, doesn't
sometimes
it?
it kills a lot of creativity here and there.
Yeah.
Like if there's something that you expect to have, that's where that fan service with creativity and the kind of you have that it's a fine line.
And Alien Predator, it was kind of roughly written to begin with.
Yeah,
that universe.
Yeah.
So
But,
that gets
like,
a little bit tough.
the weird part is like when that came out, I was so because it was set in modern times. And I was like, why? Like the games would actually spawn this to make it happen. Were set in the future with the Colonial Marines. So that's why I don't.
I'm sorry. I had a
Go.
completely different thought. I was just thinking
Go ahead.
about Star Wars, and you said fan service, and all I could think about is all the horrible one-liners we're gonna hear in Episode 7 with Harrison Ford saying stuff to Chewbacca like "Come on, baby, hold together" or something. I'm just gonna be
I
like,
got a bad feeling
I'm just
about
gonna
this.
punch myself in the
Yeah,
face of it. I'm like,
I'm-
stop!
I'm just-
repeating the
You know what
same
though?
shit."
I want to go into this movie like thinking that it's going to be like Vin Diesel and there's going to be barrel rolls and shit.
If you like go in
Because
expecting
if
it
I
to
go
be-
in and expecting that I'm going to be like
yeah,
mesmerized
you know
by
it's
screen
not gonna
magic,
it's not gonna happen.
I won't get what I'm asking for.
No.
So if I go in with the like
Low
lowered
expectations.
expectations,
This
Yeah.
might be
LS.
expectations.
So if it's like
Elasa
if you go
Wipo 4479, yes,
Dial
that-
1871.
I'm gonna do that one.
Yeah.
That one. Pick that one.
So if you
Holy
go
God.
in expecting Riddick,
Yes.
so is that
that
how
is
you get
no.
ready for
I was
it?
discussing this with somebody else earlier this week, and I was saying that that's what I'm going to have to do because otherwise I'm going to get super pissed in the theater and just be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!"
That's what I said.
and just leave.
As soon as he says something to Chewbacca, like, "God, we're too old for this," I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
oh
come
my
on!
Yes.
Okay, Harrison, I get it. You're old. God,
You can't operate a
Don't-
door. I
don't
mean, we're
remind me.
already set sail for fail at this point.
Yeah, no shit.
For those that don't know,
Ken
Harrison
Rumner-
Ford was apparently injured on set. The Millennium Falcon door fell on him or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can run the
Castle Run in
12 parsecs, but can't operate the door.
Yes,
Harrison
The
Ford.
Twitter thing has been going around.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Trending on Twitter. It's awesome.
Indeed. So yeah, so we're gonna be like Josh, movie at 9, and you'll be like, okay, I'll start watching Riddick right now. So
Yes.
I'm already waiting and shit before I get there.
I was thinking the same
Shit.
They
thing.
were like, all right, here's your ticket. Grab your glasses. And then if you want to step over here and get kicked in the nuts before the movie,
We got that option.
to prep you before.
You have to pay $2 extra.
It's just like
$2.
$2.
Daddy used to got kicked in the
protection.
nuts for $1. $2 over here.
This is 3D kicking nuts.
Oh, okay. You put your glasses
Put your glasses on before.
Whoa! Coming right at you.
Then you get Peggy in line behind you, who's like, "Whoa, get kicking balls."
You get the kicking balls.
In Russia, we signed up for this. We wait 3 months for kicking balls.
Waiting this for kicking
In
balls.
Russia, we played for the vodka and the whiskey and the kicking balls.
Losing
Sorry,
team must give us
I've
kicking
totally
balls.
derailed that whole thing.
Indeed. All right, so I think we pretty much said that rewriting canon
what?
is a very
It's
touchy.
dangerous.
Yeah,
It's dangerous, but I mean,
It is kind of necessary because you can't be bound to
you know,
what other people did if you want to do something.
I think
And
I know why
everybody
they
continues
do
to pay for it.
I know why they do it. They do it so
because
that
it sells.
well, for one, yes, it does sell, and then for two, they've only got like we were discussing this. They've only got so long before they stop making those movies that they lose the rights to make those movies.
Yeah.
So if they don't open end it so that they can create another line from the story from that arc or whatever, they will lose the rights to make the movie, and then it'll go back to the chopping block somewhere else, and somebody else will fuck it up. So I guess trying to keep it in house as often as possible is
plus they
smart
can
way.
make money off of it. That's the whole idea.
True.
Those intellectual properties are worth a lot.
Yeah.
Fox or Marvel's kicking themselves for selling X-Men and Spider-Man at this point after what they've done.
I'm sure they get a cut of it, so it's
Yeah.
probably not quite that bad.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So the other thing is now in the age of DVR and everybody binge watching shows and things like that. There used to be a concept of the cooler water talk, where everybody was like, "Oh my God, did you guys see the?
Did you guys watch Lost this week? Oh my God!"
Right, and you'd have like a whole. I'm sure productivity has gone way the hell up because now you don't have that. But
No, because the internet's still around, Ryan.
that's
Come
true.
on.
That's true. So anyway, is that water cooler talk? Is that like greatly diminished now? Because people are on totally different cycles of when they watch it. Like, for example, Game of Thrones. Almost nobody I know watches it on Sunday.
No.
They'll watch it within about 2 weeks.
Right.
Of when
Not
it was.
even
Some
for me.
people will wait for the whole season and then binge the whole season.
That's what I used to do, but this season.
That's exactly for Game of Thrones specifically.
Yeah.
That is how I have been. Is this season I've tried to watch it. Like I waited until about episode 6 or 7, and then I watched up to that point,
Yeah.
and then I watched each episode after it came
It's
out.
been so good.
It is kind of brutal going week to week, though.
Yeah, it is.
I ran into that
It
with
really is.
with Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Because I caught up to Walking Dead, and then
See,
I was
and
like,
that's just it. Like,
now I gotta wait.
No way.
I let it go. I let Walking Dead go. I'm still like a half season behind, I think.
Yeah.
So
But then you got to be extra careful about staying away from people that are spoilers, or staying
Yes.
away from like media stuff that.
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I've
Twitter.
already had Game of Thrones. I know there's a fight between two people and somebody dies. And I've seen who those two people are by pictures on Facebook. There's just no way around it. They're like, look at this. Now look at these two guys who are best buds together on the beach on Twitter. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I have no idea what's going on, but I know that's one of those guys is probably dead at this point. I don't know. So
I pretty much only have one person in my feed that's a spoiler now,
Yeah.
and I really careful whenever it's like Monday morning, and I know
Yeah.
that the show just came out. I'm like, but now at this point, I'm beyond that. I've read.
well, it's
I've
not
read
even
enough
it's not
to
even
know.
people. It's trending. It's what trends on
Right, it's
because
news.
Facebook will put that on your news. They'll put that in their like recommended post, and there's that picture on Twitter. I'm like, fuck! Like, don't do that to me. Come on. It's like
Yeah.
not even friends that are doing it. It's just Facebook
Yeah.
is doing it now.
Yeah.
So
So
That's what I get
is this
for
a
being
bad
Debbie Downer.
thing, or is it a good thing because you can watch like a whole season and then you can have much more in-depth conversations that are less.
it's
it's
bad
hard.
for me because I feel like I feel like I miss out sometimes because like everybody
If you're not
was
part of
like,
the culture when it happens.
Yes. And then I come back later and everybody's already moved on. They're like, hey, we're over here doing this
Right.
cool thing. And you're back there doing this old shit. We did that 6 months ago. The hipsterness.
Yeah.
Poor Josh on Mass Effect.
Yeah.
There was so much to talk about about that. But I'm not trying to. But I mean, that's
Josh-
part of it.
Yeah.
But
But
Josh,
yeah.
really.
But Josh, really.
All right. We just need another blizzard, and then I'll just be locked inside.
Right.
We'll work on that in July.
Yeah. Okay. Good luck.
So what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I think like I've been playing catch up with Game of Thrones, and it's nice to be able to kind of start talking about some of the stuff.
Mhm.
Like depending on my level of interest, I kind of don't want stuff spoiled. Like I might at some point watch Breaking Bad, so I kind of try to avoid when people start talking about, oh, this happened in Breaking Bad and stuff, and I'm like, yes, I know it's been on forever, and yes, I know it's way past the spoiler cutoff.
But it's down the
And
list.
you're
of the
like,
queue.
and shut the
yeah, I'm like, yeah, shut the fuck up. I don't want to be surprised.
But it's true.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, to me, it kind of you have to come up with something else to talk about. So I mean, if you're, what comes on tonight, right? It's the last episode of Game of Thrones.
For season 4, yeah.
So
Oh.
when Reese goes back in time and fathers John,
Yeah.
and then he comes to Ned and he's like, "Hey, look, you got to take care of this kid."
And then Peter
because he's
Dinklage
gonna save the universe. when
turns
machines-
into the T-1000.
Right.
And then yeah, I got you.
Right.
But
That's what Game of Thrones season
Then
4 was.
tomorrow you can't talk about it to anybody if you watched it last night because
they're going to
know.
show Bishop beheaded.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Exactly.
And then
Right,
Saber Wolf pops out of the woods.
Yeah. Did you just use a killer instinct reference? Saber wolf.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of changed things a lot because once people start catching up, the issue kind of comes up. Well, you watched it when it came on, so it's not as fresh in your mind. So they're like, oh, I want to talk about everything that happened this entire season and how it all ties together. It all means this shit. And you're like, well, I can remember like the last 3 or 4 episodes real good. But anything beyond that, I'm like, the finer points I kind of get.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, now I remember this, and we can talk about that.
It depends. Like, if it's a show I'm passionate about, like Game of Thrones, for whatever reason, I can remember, like,
Titties.
pretty...
Titties.
Titties.
Yeah,
Yes.
A lot of titties.
You're like, you remember that one chick?
Game of Bones.
Game
of
of
Bones.
Bones.
But I can remember quite a bit of the detail in Game of Thrones, so I think we've had some pretty interesting conversations
And
about that.
And reading the book kind of helps out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
'cause it's
For retention. And
Yeah, you probably retain the book.
Especially with names. I had trouble with the names at first.
But yeah, I mean, like on top of that, one of our coworkers who's like, "Oh, I don't care, you could spoil it, whatever." You still don't want to kind of spoil it for him. Is I think just finished the first season, is into the second season.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like stuff we can talk about now openly, but there's still stuff that it'd be cool to talk about, but you can't really talk about when he's around because as much as somebody's like, "Oh, I don't care about spoilers," I'm like,
They do.
"Yeah, you do."
Most of the crazy shit didn't happen in season 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Gonna say didn't.
Didn't.
Yeah, didn't happen. Season 1.
Oh.
The crazy shit?
The crazy shit.
No, it didn't happen.
No.
There was some crazy shit in season 1. Shit gets crazy.
It is kind of the overwhelming theme. Is like
In
you're
Game
like
of Thrones.
you like get through season 2 and you're like, damn, I thought season 1 was crazy, and then you watch season 3 and you're like, damn,
Yeah. God damn.
and then you watch season 4 and you're like, flip the table,
It's
My
true.
bad.
Holy.
and then
It
then
is-
That
pretty
makes
soon
me really want to watch season 4.
Feel
pretty
like
soon
it.
your
It's
brain gets baked and you're just like season 5 and you're like,
You're just sitting there.
Hodor.
Yes.
Everybody loves Hodor. It's very
Yes.
true.
That's because he's hilarious.
So yeah, I think it has changed the way
Best dialogue
conversations
in the whole
go at work now, or like work, like where you used to congregate and you'd be like, "Oh, let's talk about this." Like you can't talk about that anymore, or you kind of have to be like, "Well, I can talk to you and you, but only when you're not around because."
Right. And then that does lead to some awkward conversations, right? Because like we'll be talking about it, and
What
we
are you
know
guys
we can
talking
talk
about?
about it, and then like Josh comes in and he's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And we're like, "I was
Oh, so I was talking about Mass Effect.
yeah,
No,
nothing.
we were just talking about Game of Thrones, Josh, not about you. Promise. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Right, great Game of Thrones. Yeah.
The crickets are cricking.
Yes.
So I don't know. It changes the dynamics. I think I don't know that it totally killed the quote unquote water cooler talk, but it definitely changed it. You know,
Yeah.
because not
Yeah.
everybody's talking about the same thing at the same point. You got to be
No.
kind
These
of quicker
binge
with it.
watching shows are really like picking up though. Like the Netflix ones,
Mhm.
like or just the New Black. Lots of people are watching
Don't
Yeah.
ask Staunton about it.
that.
I'll give you a whole tirade.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
I watched the first season. It was pretty good. I don't know that I would like ravingly recommend
Yeah,
it to anybody.
it was like 6 or 7 episodes. I think I'm in
Lady
on the
Oz.
first end. And it's
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Lady
It's-
Oz,
it's-
yeah.
yeah.
It's
I have not watched it.
it's
All I remember about
not as
Oz
dark
is
as
the,
Oz.
It's the guy from Detective Stabler.
SVU.
Just being full frontal. You're just like, oh, come on. Come on.
Showed you
Yes.
his nightstick.
Yeah. He did show me his nightstick.
Christ.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't know. So those shows have been raving, but those are like they come up on a whole season, and then they post it. So everybody spends like a whole weekend. I think now they've been spending like an entire weekend when those shows come out to
Binge
watch.
watch.
the
Is
whole
that
show.
is that maybe you think maybe that's kind of a way to get around the people having to worry about people knowing where people are at in a certain series?
Maybe?
Is it's like, here's the whole season, watch the whole thing,
Yeah,
we can talk about it now.
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you have like a week of no productivity.
Right.
Right.
And then nothing
Yeah,
gets done.
exactly.
Because you're like, remember that one scene
Yeah.
with the titties?
I remember all them.
And then Saberwolf popped out of the forest.
Out of the cake. Wait, what?
Out of the cake.
I was like, was that Under Siege?
Combo breaker.
Danger. Danger. Killer combo.
Yes, indeed. All right, well, I think that about wraps it up for episode 20. You can find this on iTunes, and you can also find it if you're watching it on YouTube. I guess you already know about that one. But if you're listening to it on iTunes, we are also over on YouTube, and there's some videos for shorts there. So that's youtube.com/fairlyawesomepodcast. Also check us out on Facebook. That's facebook.com/fairlyawesomepodcast. And there are also some other content, like little tweets here and there, mostly from Chris. But anyway, over on Twitter, that's at FAPcast, FAPcast. Yeah, definitely check out all that, and be sure to let us know if you have ideas for show topics or WTF reviews for Chris, or any short ideas that you have for us. Let us know, and we'll see if we can work those in. Otherwise, thanks for listening, guys.
There you
Later.
go.
Holy shit, guys. Casey Kasem dead.
Oh, yeah?
What? Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Oh my God.
Dude was like the voice. Cliff
He
jumper.
was Shaggy.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo.
Like Zoinks! Like Zoinks, Scoob!
It was Robin in the less awesome Batman cartoon.
He was?
The
And they were like
half-assed-
the original?
Like the old Justice League. Terrible.
Like the one that they just Batman just
League of
slapping the
80s
crap out of him.
Batman writes in.
And he writes, "This is Robin. Hey, Batman. I'd like to become a full member of the Justice League, but unfortunately I'm named after a bird. Casey Kasem."
Jesus. Oh, man.